Every entrepreneur thinks they have the three strands of a very successful entrepreneur: passion, perseverance, and personality. I know because I thought I had the DNA for a successful entrepreneur. I got the opportunity to be a CEO of a technology company in Silicon Valley. My lifelong dream. I was so qualified, I knew that I had no chance of failure. I was ready for this. I dreamed about this all my life. And you know what? After 1 year, that company failed. And it failed miserably. And it was all on me. I was responsible. It was a terrible feeling. Wasn't sure what was next. Through a combination of circumstances, I got opportunity number 2. Turns out the company lasted 2 more years than the first one, but it also failed. So here I was in my 40s with 2 failed startups. What was next? I wasn't sure. I had no idea. I was feeling depressed, demoralized, dejected. I knew I couldn't get another job as a CEO of a tech company. Well, one of my investors in one of my failed startups called me and said, "Neal, would you be interested in being a venture capitalist?" And I said, "Huh? With your firm? I just lost you several $1 million." I didn't tell him that, but I felt that. And I wasn't sure why he asked me to be part of his firm. Now I think I know. I was an expert in failure. I thought, well, here I am, back on top. Not quite, not quite. I was hired as an associate, an entry-level beginning associate, along with about 6 other of my fellow associates, all of which were at least 10, maybe 15 years younger than I was. I thought, well, that's not fair. I was a successful corporate America executive, quote unquote. I was a failure at 2 startups. I had lots of worldly experience. So why wouldn't I be one notch above the trainees? Well, that's not how it works. So I went out and found opportunities to invest in. I looked for a lot of deals, went to a lot of conferences. So I found one. I met a very interesting entrepreneur. And what I really recognized in my meetings with him was he was passionate about the idea, passionate about the people that were working for him. And he had this vision of building this big, big, big company. I was struck by his passion because the company was just a coffee shop. So I take this idea back to our partnership. And I told them about this coffee shop chain. And they just laughed at me. They said, "Hey, Dempsey, this is a technology firm. You're a technology guy. You're bringing us a consumer idea and really a bad consumer idea? What are you, crazy? This is nuts. Now get out of here." Talk about a bad idea. Coffee shops? Nobody cares about a coffee shop at all. How could he even get this financed? Turns out that I personally invested in this firm because I believed in the entrepreneur so much, in his passion and his vision. That entrepreneur turned out to be Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks.
Success in business is a very difficult thing to achieve.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up.
It has to be linked to something that you are so passionate and crazed about.
The ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit because they're sane.
You can't really succeed at the levels that you want to unless you find that thing that you're so passionate, excited, and in love with.
If you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it, you got to have passion.
The second strand of the DNA for a successful entrepreneur is perseverance. No company that we've ever invested in all the hundreds of companies at Bay, has ever gone right to the top. They always have these ups and downs, almost go out of business, we almost sell them, we almost merge them. Lots of things happened. If you look back in history, Google, Apple, all the big successful companies, struggled mightily early on. We had a good example. We made an investment in a company called Guidewire in 2002. Now that's 10 years ago. This company was in the property and casualty business, insurance, basically your boring industry. And it takes a certain kind of entrepreneur to run that kind of business because it was a long sales cycle. It took us 3 years to get the first order. Big celebration, we were all happy, and it wasn't 3 or 4 months after the order was booked that the customer canceled. It was not only demoralizing for the entrepreneurs, but really demoralizing for us investors. Well, it turned out that the CEO, Marcus Rue, had the perseverance to say, listen, we're going to fix this problem, told the customer we're going to fix this problem. The customer bought off on it, and they went ahead and fixed the problem and became greatly successful. Matter of fact, this company went public in January of this year, has been and still is one of the most successful IPOs of all 2012. And it really was the perseverance of the team, Marcus and his staff, that made this happen. Because the investors, we were all nervous. We weren't sure we were going to fund this company or not. But we ended up doing it. We're all thankful we did. But it was really the team that made this thing happen because of their perseverance.
You first came to public attention with Apple. In recent weeks, it's been one of the failure stories of Wall Street and indeed of the American economy. What went wrong at Apple?
Oh, gosh.
I think sometimes the difference between success and failure, winning and losing, is a very fine line between those people who will continue to move forward.
You gotta act, and you've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to crash and burn. I think the way out is not to slash and burn, it's to innovate. That's how Apple got to its glory, and I think that's how Apple could return to it.
The third strand of the DNA of a successful entrepreneur is personality. Starbucks, Facebook, Microsoft would have not been successful. They all have personalities driven by their founder and CEO. The best CEO that I ever worked with is Greg Reyes, the CEO of a very successful company called Brocade. Greg was like a preacher. He was a consummate sales guy that people followed around. I took a trip with Greg around the world. We started in San Francisco with breakfast, lunch in Chicago, dinner in New York, and we went around the world in 4 days. Matter of fact, the major competitor, EMC, the CEO of EMC told me one time, he said, Neal, I've never known a guy like Greg. He's either been in to see my biggest customer the day after I've been there, or he's coming in the same day, and everywhere I go, he's been there before I have, because he's everywhere. We went to see customers and prospects and staff members of the company, and they all just adored this guy. Whatever he said, they did. He built this company on his back, on his fabulous personality. Now, on the contrary, Marcus Rue, who we talked about earlier with Guidewire, is in a conservative industry. Insurance, no risk. There is no risk in insurance. Marcus is central casting. He went to Harvard, he went to Oxford, he went to McKinsey. So you contrast the two, but they're personalities that really work. And the idea is to keep in the industry you're in, to keep your personality to that particular industry. Greg Reyes, big leader. Marcus Rue, cautious entrepreneur. But customers believe both of them, and they're both very successful.
I feel so strongly that the reason I'm here is I dreamed big dreams. I dreamed the kind of dreams that other people said would not be possible.
I think the companies that have done the best have often been led by their founders.
I thought that was a fascinating answer.
It's okay. You want to take off the hoodie?
No, I never take off the hoodie.
I know you don't. What's with that?
Whoa.
Actually, I'm the guy who gets to be real serious and talk about the fact that this really is a great product. We've put our hearts and souls into it.
These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device.
You know, I think of most things in life as either a Bob Dylan or a Beatles song. But there's that one line in that one Beatles song, you and I have memories longer than the road that stretches out ahead. And that's clearly true here.
Well, you know what? I think we should end it there. Let's just end it there.
I'm gonna have a little tear right here.
Now you know the three strands of a successful entrepreneur: passion, perseverance, and personality. There are plenty of you out there that have those three characteristics. Now go out and do it. Start your business and be really successful. We'll be looking for you in the marketplace.